Every woman has a breaking point. But here's what most people don't realize. By the time she decides she's done, she's already emotionally gone. The warnings were there. You just weren't listening. You didn't think she meant it, did you? So what happens when she stops explaining and starts prioritizing herself? Let's walk through what that silence really means. Kindness often gets confused with something smaller, weaker, like it's just a sweet personality trait, not something rooted in strength. But what happens when that kindness quietly fades? When a woman who once gave so much stops? Let's be clear. Kindness isn't weakness. It's strength wrapped in patience, rooted in loyalty and driven by love. But when loyalty gets mistaken for an obligation instead of a choice, everything shifts. You didn't see that shift at first, but you remember it now, don't you? Let's look at how this tends to play out. In the beginning, her love feels limitless. She notices your needs before you even have to say them. Small gestures, emotional support, effortless understanding, all of it adds up. To her, it's simple. When you care about someone, you show up, even in the smallest ways. But here's the thing. Too often, those acts go unseen, not because they're invisible, but because they're expected. Like a cup that magically refills every time you take a sip, it doesn't even occur to you that it could one day run dry. But now that it has, you feel the drought, don't you? Kindness stops being appreciated when it's taken for granted. Over time, she starts to notice. Maybe it's when you brush off her small complaints. I'm tired. I feel off today. Can we talk later? Little things. But they build. Maybe it's when you dismiss her moments of vulnerability as overthinking or oversensitivity, rather than seeing them for what they really are, invitations to connect. And when that dismissal becomes a pattern, she realizes something deeper. It's not that you don't see her, it's that you don't choose to. Here's the turning point. And it's subtle, so you might not even notice it at first. Her emotional generosity, the thing you've come to rely on, doesn't flow the same way anymore. You ask her what's wrong, and she says, nothing. But it's not the kind of nothing that invites you to dig deeper. It's the kind that tells you she's tired of repeating herself. The conversations that used to last for hours are now short, polite exchanges. She used to ask, "Did you eat today?" Or, "How was your day?" Now, there's silence. That silence used to confuse you. Now, it explains everything. Think about kindness like a well. When nurtured, it gets deeper, richer, more fulfilling. But when neglected, when the rain stops and the earth around it begins to dry up, there comes a day when there's nothing left to give. That's how it feels for her. Her heart, once full of empathy, starts to grow quiet. Not out of spite, never that, but out of self-preservation. Studies on emotional neglect paint a vivid picture here. According to research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, emotional neglect in relationships doesn't just create distance, it creates loneliness. And that loneliness doesn't happen because she's physically alone. It happens because she feels unseen, ignored. She starts to question if her kindness was ever valued, or if it became your way of dodging accountability. And now you're questioning it too, aren't you? The warning signs are always there, even before she pulls back completely. It's in her tone when she speaks. Less warmth, more detachment. It's in the way her eyes don't light up anymore when you walk into the room. It's how she stops asking for things, stops sharing little parts of her day, stops expecting you to notice. These shifts are her way of saying, without words, I'm tired of giving to someone who doesn't pour back into me. Now here's the part most people get wrong. When she becomes quiet, it's not an invitation to argue or defend yourself. By the time you feel the shift, she's already processed it. You feel it now, don't you? That space where her warmth used to be. She's not waiting for you to explain why you've been distant. She's not counting down the days until you notice her needs. She's already decided that her kindness, the very thing you once underestimated, deserves better. And it's not an impulsive decision. It's the final page of a chapter she's been silently writing for months, maybe years. Kindness isn't a weakness. In fact, it's the opposite. It takes immense strength to care for someone consistently, even in moments when they don't deserve it. But that strength doesn't come without limits. What most people fail to understand is this: boundaries aren't meant to punish. They're not about revenge or one-upping someone. They're about protection. Protecting her peace, her emotional well-being, her sense of self. And once she enforces those boundaries, they don't come down. So what happens when someone who gives endlessly decides the giving stops? It's not dramatic. It doesn't come with a screaming match or an ultimatum. It's quiet, it's decisive, and it's absolute. Her boundaries, the ones you thought were flexible or negotiable, were never optional. They were a silent promise, a promise to herself. Which leaves us with one question. What does it look like when the love she poured into you is no longer yours to hold? What happens when that love, raw and powerful, becomes something she reserves only for herself? What does it feel like to go from being someone's entire world to feeling like a stranger in their life? Worse, like you don't exist in it at all? It's not immediate. It doesn't happen in one argument or one moment. It happens over time, slowly, silently, until one day you don't even recognize the way she looks at you anymore. But let's talk about why that shift happens, and what it really means when a woman's love stops pouring into you and turns inward instead. Imagine this. Her love is a cup. Every kind word, every moment of patience, every act of forgiveness fills it to the brim. But this cup only stays full when it's being poured into as well. You used to take without thinking. Now, you notice the emptiness. When you care for her, when you notice her, when you meet her needs in return. What happens when that cup is drained day after day and nothing comes back to fill it? At some point, it empties. And here's the part most people miss. Once that cup runs dry, she doesn't beg you to refill it anymore. She starts looking for ways to fill it herself. That's when the shift begins. It's in the little things at first. The way she stops asking why you seem distant, because now you're the one wondering where she went. The way she doesn't reach out as much, doesn't check in on you the way she used to. It's the quiet moments you might not even notice because they're subtle. The kind of changes that can be mistaken for peace. But it's not peace. It's distance. And that distance isn't her giving up on love. It's her trying to give herself what she's been asking for all along. It's like a garden. For years, she's been tending to it, to you, watering it, pulling out weeds, nurturing it so it can grow. But if nothing blooms, if every leaf withers no matter how much care she gives it, what is she supposed to do? She doesn't resent the garden. She doesn't stomp on the soil or curse the flowers that never grew. She just stops. Quietly, she puts down the watering can and decides to plant something new, somewhere else. Somewhere the seeds actually take root, and she's part of that somewhere now. This isn't just her being cold or different. It's not a punishment. It's survival. Dr. Jonas Webb explains this as emotional self-preservation, a natural response to repeated neglect. When someone feels unseen for too long, they learn to detach as a way of protecting themselves. That's why her love doesn't suddenly disappear. It redirects. The energy she was pouring into you now flows straight back to her. And it's not because she doesn't care anymore. It's because, after everything, she needed to care about herself more. But here's the truth. No one wakes up one day and walks away from a relationship where they've invested their entire heart. Her withdrawal, her silence, is the final act in a story that took months, even years, to write. That moment when you realize she's pulling back, that's not when it starts. That's when it ends. You didn't notice the first pages, but now you're living the last one. The arguments you brushed off, the feelings she told you she was working through, the moment she needed you and you weren't there. Those were the first pages, and they all led to this. By the time she stops asking, she's already made peace with the fact that you aren't going to change. She's not waiting for apologies. She's not praying you'll suddenly understand everything she's sacrificed just to keep from losing you. Instead, she's coming to terms with the possibility that losing you might be exactly what she needs to find herself again. And once she gets to that point, there's no turning back. Her world, which used to revolve around you, isn't yours anymore. It's hers. And here's the part that hurts the most. This shift doesn't look like anger or blame. It looks like freedom. She's not trying to win you back. She's not trying to fix what's broken. She's trying to grow beyond it, even if that means leaving you behind. No drama, no arguments, just quiet, deliberate distance. She's putting herself first, not out of selfishness, but out of necessity. After all, no one can pour from an empty cup, and she refuses to stay empty anymore. This shift, this moment where her focus shifts inward, isn't about rejecting love. It's about redefining it. She's realized that love isn't something she has to keep giving away to prove her devotion. It's something she can keep for herself. Something that heals her rather than drains her. And while you're wondering why she's no longer fighting for the relationship, she's building a version of herself that no longer needs to. Which brings us to the question that never gets asked soon enough. Why do people only realize what they had after it's gone? Why does the silence make everything so clear, but only when it's too late to change the ending? Now listen what I'm about to tell you. When you take her love for granted, you don't just lose her. You lose the version of yourself that only existed in her world. That version she believed in, poured into, fought for. When she's gone, so is he. The version of you she believed in. You miss him too now, don't you? If you think she'll beg, cry, or plead, you've already lost. She's past the stage of fighting for attention. Silence is the sound of her healing, her energy turning inward, her boundaries being built. Love isn't about what you can take. It's about what you're willing to give. The door isn't closed yet, but can you even see what's slipping away before it does?